Hi, everyone. So for this week, we read and listened to submissions by different experts about how to be a linguistically and culturally responsive and relative teacher. So I found the information to be extremely helpful, and I also found it interesting that a lot of the information given between each of the readings or podcasts possess similar themes. And these are also themes that I've come across in the right reading as well. So for me personally, I think one of the things that jumped out to me and stuck with me most was the idea of making sure your students, and this is whether they're EB students or even just students who are part of a racial or cultural minority, and making sure that all the students feel as though they are understood as an individual and feel as though they are represented in the education process. So one of the first steps for making this possible, and this was discussed in the Lucas and Villages reading, I hope I said that right, is that it's vital for teachers not to view ELLs, or any of their students for that matter, as a homogeneous group. So every student is unique in their language proficiency, academic ability, and even their connection to their culture and traditions of their family or their life at home. So interacting and really getting to know each of your students on an individual level not only will help students feel more understood and respected, but it also helps students know how to alter their curriculum or teaching methods to better accommodate and include each student. In a lot of ways, teachers need to be very fluid and ready to change and adapt to match the individual needs of their students. And so this is really connected to the next point I wanted to make, which has to do with textbooks, curriculum, and teaching practices of many teachers. So something that was brought up pretty consistently was how many of the books and topics, and even the measures of academic success, aren't really representative of anyone besides monolingual white families in the U.S. Wright and several of the other works we read covered this, but they mentioned that research shows that students are more successful in school overall when the topics they are learning about and the books they are using are representative of them. So not only should teachers be aware of the cultural aspect in textbooks and subjects, but it's also important for teachers to pay attention to the language used in books and passages. So certain sentences may be simple for native speakers to dissect, but they also could contain certain assumptions of background knowledge or culture and traditions that are unfamiliar to other students, and so it naturally makes it more difficult. For this reason, it is critical that teachers are aware of the linguistic and cultural diversity in each classroom, and they are not only taking that awareness to their classroom materials and teaching methods, but they're also giving students opportunities to share their interests, culture, and unique perspectives on things. So I guess a lot of it comes back to making sure that teachers are viewing the different cultures, backgrounds, and languages in their classrooms as support beams that they can lean on and, gather new things from, rather than being challenging variables that should be ignored or fixed or diminished even. So for my own practice, like right now, I'm kind of in a unique spot at the moment because I'm teaching in Korea, and in the classrooms, I'm the only one who doesn't come from a Korean background. So currently, how I'm hoping to improve myself, and this is something that I've been in the process of doing for a while now, is making sure that personally I'm more familiar and with the Korean language and Korean culture so that I'm better able to connect with my students. And so a lot of the textbooks we use in class are American textbooks, and so a lot of the things that we talk about and cover aren't really things that my students can connect with. And so I've made sure to, not only do the required textbook stuff, but also to include in my lessons, things that the students can connect with. And this works great because even some of my students who are brand new to English, they're a lot more willing and able to talk and participate in the class when it's on a topic that they already know about. And so eventually I will return back to the US and teach there. And so, at that time, I know I'm going to have to learn and adapt even more when I start working with a classroom that's filled with a lot of variation in student backgrounds and language abilities and culture. And so it's going to be like an ongoing process. And that's one of the things that I've picked up a lot from the reading, is that no matter what, your job is never going to be finished. You constantly have to be ready to better yourself for the needs of your students. Anyway, thank you guys so much.